Hi, welcome back to Learn Payload with Colin. Today we're going to be talking more about user authentication, and more specifically, we're going to be building out the login page and learning how to submit that form and get connected to Payload so that we're logged in using their login cookie. We're using the cookie strategy, the HTTP only cookies, and we need to figure out how to take a username and an email and password and convert that into a token that we can then set as the cookie to keep us logged in. And so if you're new here, and this is your first time here, this is my first 100 video series. I am currently learning Payload. I am a consultant, and I plan on using Payload quite a bit in my work. And I want to use this series to sort of document my journey through learning the ins and outs and all the little nuts and bolts of Payload so that I can be confident that I can move forward with my work. So, and then by the end of this series, we'll probably have a nice sized project that's going to be full production ready project. So I have a lot of plans for that. So if that interests you, please subscribe and click that bell to get notified for my next video. I try to do these at least once a day, and I keep them, hopefully I try to keep them about 10 to 15 minutes long each. So, all right, with that said, let's build our login page. Okay, so I created our first login component. It's completely static, so we're not going to go into the details of how I created that. There's so many tools and libraries and I think a shadcn components and all that stuff to help you along there. But this card component is all completely static. We haven't wired it up to any authentication just yet. So here is the code for it. I have a couple routes that I created, and I organized them by front end and payload routes. And so everything that we're going to do is going to be in the front end group here. And we have account where you could look at your profile once you're logged in. We went through some of that in the previous video using middleware. We have the app, which is just the home page for now. And then we have auth. So in the auth folder, we have login and we have register, and they each have their own page. So login has a login form, and register has a register form plus this little promo section, which I will show you. So I'm over here in an app called HTTP Pi or HTT Pi. I'll have a link to it in the description, but I find it useful. It's for making requests, kind of like Postman if you're familiar with that. But it's a desktop app that you can download for Mac at least. It allows me to save all my endpoints and URLs that I can do testing on. And it lets me set variables, environment variables for various things like login email and password and base URL. But here I'm using it for this video to show you that to log in a user, I'm going to be using the REST API that is available from Payload out of the box, ready to go. And you can see here that so the endpoint is API/users/login, and then you pass in your email and password, and then hit submit as a post request, and then what you get is your response, which includes the token, and then all your user details, name, email, and that's it. So what's really cool about this endpoint that I learned while making this video, I didn't know this while I was working on it. My assumption that I was that I was working on, my working assumption was that I would make this API call, accept the response, and then I would take this token and save it, persist it as a cookie on my own. I would be the one responsible for setting the cookie. But as I was looking through the response of this request, I noticed something in the headers. You can see here, at least in this app, you can unfold that to find out what the headers are. And one of the headers is a set cookie header, and it actually, on successful authentication, it responds with a set cookie header, which includes the payload token, the JWT, that is required to know that you are logged in. And so this JWT includes, your email address and your user ID, as well as anything else you might want stored in there, customized. But because of that, because of this response in the header, if you run this in your browser on the same domain using the fetch call, the browser will go ahead and just set that cookie for you. So you don't actually have to consume this token and set the cookie yourself, because the API call will just go ahead and do it. And I'll show you that right now. So I'm here back in the login form component that I use here. And I created a handle submit for this form. I'm doing this for the purpose of this video only. I'm doing this in a bit of a naive way. This is not what I would do in production, but the goal of this video is really just to understand the end-to-end process for, hey, I just want to get this user logged in. What does that look like? What do I need to be? What are my responsibilities as a developer? And what are the responsibilities of Payload? Well, it turns out that, like I said, it is not my responsibility to set the cookie, because if you use the REST API, Payload will go ahead and do that on your behalf. So when I make a fetch call and with a method of post, just like in our HTTP app, I make the post request to this login endpoint, and I wrap the email and password as part of the body, just like in our HTTP app. And then I just check to see if the response is a 200, in this case, .ok. And then if it's not, just throw an error. And then I just reload the page. A variety of ways to do that. You could do a Next.js redirect or whatever. You can do whatever you want. But again, that's not what I'm interested in within this video. But you'll notice that what I'm not doing is that I'm not taking the JSON, I'm not awaiting the JSON of that response and then taking the token out of that JSON and setting it to a cookie or even even local storage or anything. I'm not doing anything with that token, because this, just by virtue of running this on the same domain in the browser, it's going to set that cookie for me. So let me show you that on the front end. So here on the front end, it looks like I'm already logged in because I have this cookie here, but I'm just gonna go ahead and delete that cookie. Yep, so that cookie's deleted. And now I'm just gonna go to the login page. And you'll notice as soon as I hit submit, the cookie will automatically be there set. And there, you see the cookie is there. Here we are, the cookie is right there. And because of our middleware, which I went over in a previous video, I have middleware that will detect if you're already logged in. And if you're on the login page and you're already logged in, well, then it just redirects you to the home page. And then if you're not logged in and you try to access your account, profile, or whatever, it'll redirect you to the login page. In my previous video on user authentication, I go over middleware, and I'll link to that video in the description. But so I am logged in now, and you'll see that middleware. If I try to go back to the login page again, it just redirects me to the home page. And so, yeah, you'll notice I'm not the one who had to create that cookie. Just by running that API call to the login endpoint, the cookie was already set for me. So that's it for this one. Thank you for stopping by. Tried to keep this one short and sweet because we have a lot of work coming up ahead of us. We're going to be registering a user, and we're going to start diving into social login, like for GitHub. GitHub will be our first one, but we'll lay that track down, and that'll allow us to use that for other logins for like Google or maybe even Discord. But in this video, I think I learned quite a bit. I started off with the assumption that I would grab the JWT, the generated JWT token from the user, but then I would have to set the cookie myself. But as I was inspecting the response, the headers in the API call, I saw that it was already doing that. So quite a shortcut, and even made this video a lot shorter. So I really appreciate it. So that's it. Thanks a lot. That's number 15 out of 100, down and done. So we have a lot more to go. I have big plans for a project that I plan on working on throughout this series, and we're really, again, laying that track down, getting the foundations underway. The one thing I think you're going to find really valuable about this channel is that I don't take any shortcuts. I'm not going to be using any plugins. I really want to get educated on how everything works under the hood, and so we're going to be doing everything from scratch in this series. I hope you find that valuable, and if so, if you haven't subscribed already, please do. Make sure you're going to get notified for any upcoming videos, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks a lot.